Bills fans, it's Curtis. It's been a little while. I was on vacation. Kind of season tapered off. Maybe not the way you guys wanted. And I thought last year, as you went into week one, was really just a great opportunity for your team. And it was a good season. But given what you have at quarterback and all the pieces around you, it certainly didn't end the way you want. But now is another opportunity here. It's going to be critical for the Bills, just like the Dolphins, just like the Jets, just like the Patriots, to have an excellent free agency, an excellent draft. This AFC East last year I said was going to be a buzzsaw going into the season. This year it is going to be a buzzsaw on steroids at Mach 55. It's going to be a brutal, brutal division, especially if what it looks like, Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets. So I'm going to get back on doing regular coverage for you guys all the way through the offseason and into the season again. I'm going to be doing it for multiple teams. So I'm going to do a fairly long coverage. It's easier for me. I explained it to my Dolphins fans, and I'm going to dice it up, and I'm going to put chapters in there for those who want to take this piece and that piece out, and then also maybe dice it up depending on how well I do in certain sections. So I want to thank you guys for stopping by. Stop for shopping at QVC. Thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate all you guys do. You Bills fans have been phenomenal to this Dolphins fan, and I'm grateful. So I just want to give you guys a shout out, and a shout out to Ace Bread, my sponsor, because without you and without them, this show ain't going down. Ace Bread's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. All right, I've been saying for 2 years since I've been covering you, Allen's phenomenal. Bills need to run. They need more diversity in their looks, in their run alignments, and the presentation of their offense, not to be Allen a bust, and legitimate play action would turn Allen and this offense into an unstoppable beast. Now, Dable, he liked the fun and gun, but he had you guys humming because he just knew how to dial up some really good play calls, especially with Allen and the convoys and the pulls and all that. And then Dorsey last year, he really started to show some balance, but then he went off that script and went heavy, even heavier than Dable in some regards, to Allen or bust. And it was a fun ball football, way too much. And it ended in a snow game where Cincinnati just used the run game and its big offensive lineman to be consistent and to take you guys out while you threw all day. Now, that was a sour ending. But I got to believe that Bean and McDermott and Dorsey could see the obvious, and they're going to come back this season and fix the issues that were wrong. There is some turnover. I talked about how the cap is legit. And I got a little blowback from the Bills fans last year, but don't feel bad. I'm telling the Finns the same thing, the Finn fans that that watch me when I cover the Dolphins, and they're saying the same thing. The cap is legit, guys. If you don't manage it in a certain way, it reaches a peak where you have to just dump talent. And the Bills went all in heavy, and I'm going to go over the cap and where they're at and the players, and you'll see that it's going to be a touch and go next couple of seasons. Now, the good news is Bean drafts really well. He's got some players in the wings, and he's got another draft this year. And if he has a draft that looks like last year's this year, it's going to really help things out. But it's not going to be a free-for-all in free agency, and they're going to have to be smart. So this year is going to be a tough ride. You need to add the run game in. Patriots are going to get better. They got O'Brien at the offensive coordinator, and whatever you think about Mac, he's going to play much better. And they were a tough out last year with just like, high as a kite OC. What happens when they have a good OC and they've had a couple good drafts back to back? If they have another good draft, Patriots are going to be tough. And when you're up there in New England, you could see how it can get ugly with the wind and with the snow. And even in Miami with the rain, you need balance. You need a run game, especially when you got a good defense that Miami has, the Jets have, and New England. So I'm really believing that you guys are going to dial in and be smarter this year. Now, I saw a pretty big Bills site was saying you have to draft Jordan Addison out of UC with your top overall pick to add another wide receiver. No, I think that would be totally insane. I'm going to go over it. Your offensive line is gutted. You need an offensive line. Allen can't keep taking this beating. He can't have to be Superman. He needs the run game, and it starts with the old line. There's no way on earth that even if this guy is phenomenal, that you draft him. You need an offensive line given these defenses and the lack of a run game, and Allen needs protection. So I'm not saying an offensive lineman, although if the right guy is there, you better take an offensive lineman. Or there's another guy out there who intrigues me for both your team and my team, and I hope my team gets him or nobody else in the division. So I just don't see as skill position is what you need. You've got a good receiving core. It's not the greatest. You want better. Davis kind of had a down season when you thought he was going to take. I think he's going to step back. I think he's going to play well. And you got Diggs and you got Shakir and you'll be fine with that because Allen can make things happen. But that balance is critical. You lost Singletary, maybe comes back cheap, and you lost a ton of offensive linemen. So right now, you're in a position where you need money. You're negative $19 million. Josh Allen's going to restructure. Von's going to restructure. And there's going to be some other moves coming forward. But you can see here, it says they'll free around 32. That will put them between 14 and 17 over with manipulability to use that money someplace. But you got the draft, and that's going to be about 6 or 7. And that will give you only about $7 million to work with. And when you look at the Bills, right now they got 54 players on the roster, which is good news. That you bumped up. You were down like 37 or something a couple of weeks ago. So you got a pretty decent amount of guys. You just need to fill out the roster. Really, you're going to see where clear holes are at. And I expect some big moves because the reality is you'll be maybe 14 under the cap that you can use this year with 54 players. But next year, you only have 37 again, and you're going to have $33 million in cap space. And some of that's going to get reduced when you push that money forward with Allen and when you push that money forward with Von. And then you go to 2025, you only got 15 players on the roster locked up in contracts. And you really, it seems like a lot at 129 in cap space, but not when you factor in with all the players you're going to need to sign. So I'm thinking there's going to be some moves to get yourself in better position now and going forward. And I saw Bills were in discussion or they were in attendance of OBJ's workout. I could see that like a 1-year deal, some kind of cap-friendly deal maybe. But if you do that, you're going to also have to make some other moves. And, see right here, it was Ryan Horton. Show up more consistently or you don't get the money. Ed Oliver acting like he has done enough. Because Oliver said, show me the money or I want to talk. I'm not going to talk. Now, he's covered for this year, but he's talking about next year. And to me, Oliver is a guy that he's a pretty good player. But big money, considering what you got, I think you could trade him. Now, before you get upset, Dolphins have Zach Sealer, and they're kind of in a similar situation. But Sealer's not demanding the big money, but he's going to get the big money because he's playing way better than Oliver. And honestly, given your needs, given the tight cap space, trading him and getting picks with the way Bean drafts, I think it might be a better deal if you can get the right price from him because there's no way you're going to pay this big guy big money. Now, you want to put the tag on him, and that's still going to be pretty sizable. But the question is, to me, he's been a little too small. You got heavy running from the Jets. You got heavy running from the Patriots, and he's not the greatest in holding up in the run, and he's not the greatest at kind of staying healthy. So I don't think that paying him big money is the right move, but you don't want to let him walk next year when you can get something for him. So it'll be very interesting. GM Curtis says you might want to trade him. I might get some heat for that, but that's what I think. And then you can see right here, linebacking core took a big hit without Edmonds. He's a good player for you. He's a critical piece. He allows you to play that big nickel because he's so big and so fast. There is a big hole in the way you guys play defense right now without him, with him not being there. The linebackers are really, really tough to draft. They're really tough to find in a modern football because stopping the run, being able to cover the pass, both equally well is very, very, very difficult. It's hard to find. And you look right here, you got Matt Milano, unbelievable guy, great foundation to build on, but you don't have much after that. And so linebacker is a really big need for you guys. Maybe you can find a guy a little bit later. Maybe you can kind of adjust the things, the defensive scheme a little bit because, well, you know, Frazier has walked off for a year. He's taken a year break, which is really, that hurts a little bit for you guys. I like McDermott moving in there, but McDermott is the head coach. And when you give a guy more duties and more responsibilities, it makes things tougher even if you're elite. So the loss of Frazier, while it's not crippling, I don't think, it does make things a little more difficult and a little more complicated. But for me, I say it over and over again to my Dolphins and to anybody who wants to listen. In the NFL, the offensive line makes the world go round. And your offensive line is very, very suspect. This unit needs all the bolstering you can get. You see Mitch Morris, he got ranked 24th, which is out of 32 centers, is not good. He's got the concussion issues. I'm not really too high on him. He's okay. You know, he's okay. Ryan Bates, I kind of said he was your weak link. You see here, he didn't have a phenomenal season. He's a little too weak. He gets blown up a lot. Right guard, it's not terrible because you can bring a lot of help to the right guard, but it demands an excellent elite left guard, which you don't got. Saffold's gone. Doyle's not. Butker, I guess that's how I always screw up his name. I mean, he can play, but he had 6 snaps last year. I think he had injury the year before. I don't know. You could put this guy in a mix, but are you going to really ride and die with him? Dawkins, to me, Dawkins is still very good. His season wasn't as good last year as the year before, but I think a lot of it has to do with him sitting in pass sets all day. When you're an offensive lineman and you got to go on the defense perpetually against guys who know what you're going to do, you sit in shotgun all day, you're not allowing your offensive lineman to shoot out and attack in the run game, it makes things a lot harder. I just think more balance, better play calls and philosophy would help him get him right back to where he was. Definitely had some issues there. I think that weren't just that, but a lot of it to me had to do with just being on the defense all the time. And then you got Spencer Brown. He had a good rookie season, but last year was difficult. Went into the camp and he got his back hurt and he just struggled. And he's another guy too. I think he's going to develop, I hope for you guys, but I think just sitting in pass protections all day is just really killing him. You guys need help. You definitely need another answer at right tackle. You definitely need at least 2 more answers at guard, whether that's a backup and a starter. So to me, 2 to 3 offensive linemen is going to be key for you guys to move forward. But there's another way to mitigate that I'm going to talk to in a second. Now, Bills are a team that are eyeing Jamal Williams, and I think that could be smart. He's a big dude, goal line guy. I like Cook. Cook, he exceeded the level that I thought he was going to be able to get to in year 1, but he's a small fry guy. You need a complimentary back, and I like Williams. I don't know what his price tag is, but again, the blocking he was behind one of the best offensive lines in football. offensive lines generate the majority of the yards for running backs because most of them aren't really super special. They're a little bit better, a little bit worse, a little bit different skill sets. Not like there's not too many superstars. So the blocking is key. But this is the guy that really has me excited for both my Dolphins and for you guys. This is the guy right here. I deleted the tab, so I had to do a cut, so I'm back. That I think the Dolphins, I would be so thrilled for the Dolphins to get. And now they're back at the tail end of that second round. And I thought he'd go a little bit higher, but I'm seeing him fall into the later part of the second round. And that's Darnell Washington, tight end. This guy from Georgia, someone turned me on in the comments. I wish I remember who it was because they're smart. I've been watching this guy. I've been really fascinated with him. He had a phenomenal camp. He ran a 4.64. He's 6'7", 264. He's an excellent blocker. He's got great leaping ability. He can catch. He's got the speed. He's got the size. And the Bills like this spread look. And the problem is Knox is pretty good at blocking and catching. But if you can get a guy like Darnell Washington in that second round, and honestly, maybe even in the first, or early second, if you trade back, it would be a huge, huge bonus. You could put him out there. He could be a legitimate extra block. You could run 2 tight end sets with 1 running back, still get your 2 wide receiver set, and you would have Knox and Washington being able to go out there and really put pressure on the secondary without sitting in 3 wides all day. And this is the kind of guy who, Allen on his move can throw it high and he can locate, he can out-muscle guys. And it would force teams to have to be very, very reluctant to go in their nickels. And this would again help out Allen. And to me, you put Knox on play side, you put Washington on the weak side, you do your play action rollout, he jams and goes, then you got a one-on-one with Washington either in a zone or with a guy man-on-man, and you got Allen rolling out, and he's got to go or throw. And to me, that would be so brutal. When you get guys in that linebacking group or safety group having to pause to watch Allen roll out and to hit the backside throw or the backside run. And then you add legitimate running game because he could simply peel off that backside and get to the second level and get that middle linebacker or get that safety and start peeling things open with a physical run attack. I want my Dolphins to get him in a big way. I think that you guys also really could use him. I think he's going to be a key target for a few teams in the AFC East. I love this guy. I'm not a genius. I didn't pick him out. Somebody told me about him, but I am now touting the horn on this kid. He has shades of Gronk light. And that double tight end set that Belichick implemented years ago is just a brilliant formula. It's just so hard to find 2 guys like that. There's so few good blocking tight ends. And this kid, to me, is somebody's going to win big with this kid. So I already talked about McDermott on defense, and I'm very interested to see if there's going to be adjustments. You need safety help. You need linebacker help. You need a little bit of cornerback help. Unless you're going to go with Benford and Elam and White. I think that might be, maybe one of those guys could play the nickel, and then you just have to get the safety. So that's possible. But are you going to come out and play that nickel zone all day? It's going to be very, very interesting. I really like the direction of this team up to a certain point. And I kind of understood everything until last year late. But this is a year for me, judging McDermott, judging the staff. If they come out and play fun ball again, if they're not building I'm not saying run heavy, but pass balanced. If they do not get themselves legitimate play action, if they can't get themselves a solid run game and some blockers in front of Allen, and Allen is doing the same thing playing Superman, taking the beating that he normally takes, having to be the running game as well as the passing game, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to be very suspect about your future and about this staff. But if this staff finally gets it and understands the league is moving towards pass balance, and they can get Allen blockers and a legitimate run game, I think you guys could see the past and what you thought was good over the last couple of years be a downward level, and it could take a next step. I think the AFC East, the teams that don't run the football, and I'm not saying great, but they can't run the football or they choose not to, are going to be the ones that struggle and find themselves falling down the pecking order, especially if Rodgers goes to Green Bay. So, Bills fans, I'm going to have another podcast coming out. I filmed it before I left, and I was just too tired to put it out for you about what you really, the Bills fans and the Bills need to learn from the Super Bowl. And it's a lot of the same things I talked about here and also with my Dolphins, because the Dolphins and the Bills are sort of in a similar place. They have a similar philosophy, a similar weakness, and they really need to learn from it. So I'm going to get that out after this. So I want to say thanks, guys, for stopping by. I'm going to really generate more content for you guys because you guys have been phenomenal to me, even though you're evil Bills fans. So good luck in the offseason. We have both our teams have a lot of work to do. Let's hope Rodgers doesn't go to the Jets. Let's hope the Jets go full jest and screw it up. What do you say? Curtis saying, catch you next time. Be well. See you soon. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.